Thank you. Thank you, Chris, sometimes known as Christopher Reagan. And good evening, everyone. Just as you're selling your populism event, which I want to come to, you might want to add that the Anaheim Mighty Ducks will be playing the Habs in Montreal that evening. So, it's just an added, tear up kind of thing, right? So look, we're just going to take 2 or 3 minutes. I'm delighted to be here with Taylor and with Chris and with McGill to just announce that we'll be launching a partnership starting in, probably tomorrow, because we got a lot of work. I was going to say early in the year, but I think tomorrow, between Public Policy Forum and the McGill School, and particularly with the Beaverbrook professor in ethics and media ethics at the McGill School. Taylor and I have been doing a lot of work together over the past 2 years. Taylor was a principal researcher on a report we did called The Shattered Mirror, which led to some kind of result last week that several of my friends on the front row aren't happy with, but did produce some money, hopefully, to help sustain journalism in Canada. And then we co-authored a report that came out this summer called Democracy Divided, Countering Disinformation and Hate in the New Digital Public Sphere. And that's also, I think, had a lot of traction. People, and this will be our partnership will be about disinformation. It will be about how disinformation and hate are attacking democratic institutions and social cohesion. And with a particular initial lens at the October 2019 election, but well beyond that as well. This exists in Canada. Some people think it doesn't exist in Canada. Misogynist motorists plowing down people in Toronto, and Quebec City mosque shooters, and our troops in Latvia who've been subjected to a lot of disinformation. You can go on and find a reversed Halloween picture of Justin Trudeau, and it looks as if and tells you that he's converted to Islam. So it started up in Canada. And the first part of solving problems, understanding it, and we have no idea what goes on in our media ecosystem. We know less than most other countries know about that. And that is the point of the exercise, reconnaissance and research to understand that. And if you want to get into details, I would suggest you talk to an expert. Taylor.
Thanks. Well, this is my first McGill event, so I'm even more honored to be a part of this community. So thank you, Chris. So Ed and I, and in my work particularly, is really around, I think, this crisis we're facing in the state of our information, and the way we get information, the quality of information, and the state of our public sphere in our democracy. Even just this year, we've seen foreign interventions in elections around the world. We've seen the collapse of the practice of journalism and the models of journalism in many countries. We've seen the spread of misinformation, the rise of hate speech and divisive content in our social platforms. And I think all of these point to this real core challenge we have in our democracy, which is how do we preserve the integrity of the information we receive that's required for us to be active citizens in a collective society. So this project that we're going to embark on is going to study this problem in Canada. Amazingly, while there's research centers in this around the world, there's monitoring labs around the world, there's very little in Canada. We know very little about how subject we are to this very problem, even though we know it exists. So the first thing we're going to do is set up a monitoring lab for the next year, watching this and studying it leading up to the next election. Who's trying to influence our beliefs, our votes? Who's trying to divide us on issues like pipelines and immigration and inflame our rhetoric and our division between us leading up to the election? And can we then shape policy to help push back on it? So that's what we're going to be doing over the next year, years hopefully. Stay tuned. Thanks.